Hello and welcome back to the channel of two-wheeled nonsense and the motorcycle equivalent of Princess Diana, because it promises to be all things to all people. A bike that can do the dainty cornering princess stuff, but also be a proper long distance rock with all the toys when you need it to be. Anyway, that was slightly tortuous. This is the Yamaha Tracer 9 GT Plus. I've been living with it for nearly a month now. I've done some big days on it. And here is my review of this not cheap slice of sports touring royalty. Or is it? I think you've got to admire Yamaha's bravery, haven't you? Bringing out a bike that looks like that at a price of £17,000. And I like to think of Yamaha engineers at lunchtime are out there trying new things, putting stuff they shouldn't do up their noses. Whereas Honda's engineers are probably having dry ham sandwiches on brown bread, thinking about cross-platform functionality or something. But anyway, yeah, you didn't mishear me. This Tracer 9 GT Plus is £17,000. But this really is Yamaha whipping out its big digital member, putting it on the table and saying, look at all the stuff we can put in a bike. Because this has got radar cruise control, blind spot warning, semi-active suspension, it's got LED matrix headlights, it's got the kitchen sink. Oh, it's got no clutch that you can use anyway with your hand. It's got Yamaha's automated manual transmission system. It's a sports tourer that is really focusing on long distance touring, and spiritually, having lived with this for a month, the closest bike I can think of is something like a GS. And a GS is actually 500 quid cheaper than this, but you don't get anything for that. If you want the tech that this has got on a GS, it's going to be north of £20,000. But anyway, does that make this a bargain? Probably not. Probably not, but let's have a look at it. Now, I just want to take a quick moment to appreciate the fact that this bike comes with silver wheels. When did you last see a bike with silver wheels? I quite like that. But anyway, the engine on this bike is perhaps the least interesting and the least new part of it. It is the venerable 890cc cross-plane 3 motor with 119 horsepower at 10,000 RPM and 93 Newton meters of torque, mated only to Yamaha's automated manual transmission on this GT Plus model. There is no manual version of this. It is a brilliant, brilliant engine. It's got torque everywhere. It's got a nice howl. When you start it up, it sounds like the old 1050 Triumph Triple. It's got that real chesty, bassy growl, and I really, really like that. The only thing is, this is a 17 grand bike with 119 horsepower on the spec sheet. That's not great value for money, but you shouldn't let you put you off. Right, just give you some wobbly camera work to show you some of the details. You've got one of the biggest screens I've ever used, and that is genius. It's electrically controlled and it actually clears my head at 6'3". You've got a camera there which controls the LED matrix headlights, which are down here. You've also got the radar at the front there as well. So it's not a pretty face, but it is doing a lot of thinking. You've got normal Yamaha radial calipers. They're not really a standout feature of the bike. They're good enough, to be honest. And you've got Bridgestone T32s on it. Obviously a generation old now, but they're still really good. They warm up quickly. They're great in the wet. Should point out, this bike comes with panniers on it, with keyless access to it, but I've just had them taken off because, well, I'd probably lose them knowing me. You've got a centre stand as well, which has been redesigned. It's been designed to be easier to get onto it. We've also got a new seat here, which slides me forward into the tank a bit more than I'd like. But I'm going to chop in some footage in the riding section where I did a 300-mile day on this, and I'll talk more about that then. Big pillion seat there, grab handles, and you've got a special chain here. It's a gold DID chain with a diamond-like coating on its rollers. And the idea being, it's very low maintenance and doesn't stretch as much as a normal chain. So, yes, Yamaha hasn't given it shaft drive, but they want you to be reassured by that. I've got a remote preload adjuster here for the shock, and I'm going to show you all of that stuff in a second, once I've showed you what 6'3" oaf looks like sitting on it, keyless. Right, I don't want to give you more numbers at a maths fetishist's pants drawer, but this bike, when it's fully fueled with a 19-litre tank full of petrol, weighs 232 kilos ready to ride, which sounds very heavy, but it's never felt anything like that heavy. The seat height has actually gone up by 20 mil for this generation, but they've made it narrower, so it actually feels lower. So anyway, seat height is between, I think it's 840 and 860 mil. You can adjust it, and it also, when you turn it on, for the first 30 seconds, it softens off all the damping to make it a bit easier to get off and on the stand as well. They've relaxed the upper body ergos for this year as well. So it's just a really nice, neutral, comfortable position. A little bit of weight on your wrists, say a little bit lent forward. All your weight isn't on your tailbone. And it's just, well, epically comfortable, apart from the seat, which we'll get onto. They've made the rear subframe, been ill, I can't say my F's anymore. They've made the rear subframe 50 mil longer, but 150 grams lighter to give the pillion more space. They've stiffened the frame underneath, so when it's leant over, it doesn't feel quite as wallowy. They've also reworked around the headstock as well for more stiffness, which is good news, isn't it? But anyway, I'm now about to talk you through the electronics of this bike, which is going to take about 10 years. Bear with me. Right, back to wobbly cam for this bit. You'll notice there's lots of buttons here and no clutch. The important thing to know is your thumb goes on that for downshifts and your index finger goes on that for upshifts, and the rest of it is fairly standard Yamaha. Now, other important switches. This flicks it between automatic riding modes and manual riding modes, and they are different, and then you can go through them using this when you're off the throttle. You'll notice I've got my GPS cradle on there, plugged straight into USB-C that's there. It's very handy. Anyway, it has keyless, so you press that in and then turn it on. We've seen that before on the MT-09 SP last year. You got this big digital dashboard, I think it's 7 inches, and I've got it in its most complicated looking mode because this is how I've been living with it. Shows you your suspension setting, your fuel and all sorts of stuff. It's got a fuel gauge up there, and you can get a range readout as well. But anyway, what you need to know about this bike is that to start it, you pull a brake in, and while you're doing it, hit the start button. You can start it in neutral, which is at the bottom of the gearbox, or you can have it in first. Clunk. It is now in first. And basically, you either decide, I'm going to ride it in manual mode or automatic mode. In automatic mode, there are 2 modes. There's D+, which is the sportier one that will hold on to gears for longer, or there is D, which is very relaxed and changes gear upwards very, very conservatively. Those modes work fine when you're pootling. I spent 90% of my time in manual mode, and there you have your normal things like street, rain, custom 1, custom 2 and sport, and in those modes you have to change gear yourself using the paddles here. It will always downshift for you at junctions, but I really enjoyed using my fingers for changing gear. When you're filtering on the M25, that is genius. I really, really enjoy that. It's satisfying and smooth. So yeah, the modes. Sport mode, you can see, has got A1. That's automatic 1 suspension, which means the firmest of the automatic modes. In street, it goes to A2 and it softens it off. What if I want to customize that? Well, luckily you can. Click this in, go to settings. Bear with, I'll do this as quickly as I can. And then you'll go into YRC settings. Before I do that, I'm just going to show you that you can globally turn off wheelie control. Yamaha hasn't lost its sense of humour. You can also change your heated grip settings as well. But you're going to go into here and you can see how the modes are laid out. So 1 is the sportiest of all the things. So whether that's throttle response, traction control, slide control, front wheel lift or suspension firmness, 1 is the firmest, raciest, sportiest, most wheeliest. So you can see how the modes are set up. And what I've done is I've made custom 1 basically super sporty, but I've actually put a custom suspension mode in to be a bit more comfortable. You can do all of this stuff and set it up exactly how you like. It's complicated at first. You can do it through an app if you want, but then you've got a bike that is customized to your own buttockly needs. There we go. Riding it is easier than I've made that look. Oh yes, screen. If you've got this set on the screen there, every time you click that tick, it will default to the screen. And then you can do the screen up and down. So yes, heated grips and windscreen are in a menu, but you can instantly get to them. Lovely. Hopefully that doesn't just feel like you've taken a course in computer science, because really, once you've got your head round it, which takes 5 or 10 minutes, you just ride this like a normal motorbike, which is exactly what I'm going to do now. Okie dokie, let's go for a ride. Pull a brake in, it's in the first, but it will start with a delicious little growl. If you want to blip it, remember to go to neutral. It's got It's got a soft limiter on it actually. I didn't know that. It is warmed up. Anyway, to go, pull the brake, I'm in first, and then gently just twist the throttle and away you go. So just very quickly, it's very easy to ride. It's just, it took me 7 miles to get used to the modes, and the fact that some of the modes are only in manual and some are only auto, so auto is just D and D+, and I end up just leaving it in some of my custom modes, to be honest. Mirrors are good, pretty vibe free, but I'm going to cut to some footage I filmed 2 weeks ago doing a 300-mile day on this. I'll try and keep it interesting, but I think if you're looking at this bike, you're probably interested in the long distance comfort, and that was a proper test of this bike. And then after that we'll come back and do some sporty riding on my local twisties. Yeah. It sounds like a Triumph.
There's nothing like waking up at 5:30 and getting straight on a motorbike, is there? Normally that evokes memories and feelings of heading to the Eurotunnel and going on a big adventure. Today the Tracer 9 GT Plus actually just taken me to a work meeting in Derby, so it's about 150 miles each way. I'm going to take the bike because this on paper is the perfect long distance cruiser, so I'm just going to test this long distance credentials today. Let's see how we go. So yeah, let's see what all this tech is like on a long run. I won't make this boring, I try to promise. I promise. I lie, one of the themes does have a fuel range readout. It's showing 194 miles to just under a full tank. Let's see how accurate that is. So far I've done about 35 miles around the M25 on a Wednesday morning, and the things that are impressing me most about this Tracer 9 GT Plus, it's the screen. Yes, it looks ridiculous, and now since high setting it looks extra ridiculous, but you can probably hear me. It's very, very rare that I am actually shielded by a motorbike screen. If I sit bolt upright, I do get the wind, but down here it's really smooth and quiet, and actually if I do stick my head out into the air, it's not buffeting me. So well done Yamaha for designing a bloody good screen that even covers 6'3" oiks like me. I've also been using the radar cruise, that works very well, but like lots of these systems, it doesn't quite let me get close enough to the car in front, so I end up just riding it myself. I found the range readout, as I said. It's got TPMS readings on there. I'm averaging 63 miles per gallon so far on this trip, because I've just been cruising at 70. And so far, it feels comfortable. I think the seat pitches me forward a little bit, which might ache after a while, but I'll report back on that when I've done another 100 miles or so. But so far, very impressive. The only thing I would say is at 70 miles an hour, the engine is spinning about, get close to 5,000 RPM. In top. It's not vibey, and you don't really notice it, it's just the noise is there. It's not sitting at 1,000 RPM like a Boxer twin. But anyway, I've still got 117 miles to go this morning. Onwards.
Okay, I've just done a 2-hour stint on the Tracer 9 GT Plus. I've done about 135 miles. And do you know what? I've got no aches or pains yet. The seat does slightly lean me forward a bit more than I'd like, but it is, you know, it's not annoying me. I have got room to wriggle around and all the rest of it. Yeah, I've not really got any complaints. I'm getting 60 miles per gallon. Let's have a look. Just check I'm not chatting shit. There you go, yeah, 61 mpg, and I've just filled the tank up and I've got more than 200 miles of range. So yeah, very impressed so far. I'm just going to get a sausage roll and then continue my journey.
Okay, you join me on the way home. I've done 250 odd miles today so far. Tracer 9 update. There are a couple of little things that are niggling me. It's a warm day today. It's 30 degrees air temperature at the moment, and it is hot between your legs. Actually, the engine kicks out quite a lot of heat through your bum and around my calves. It's not unbearable, but it's definitely noticeable. Secondly, right-hand mirror at 70 is a bit blurry. It's not very clear. The left one is better, but still not perfect. And obviously I don't have a clutch that I can pull in to clear that view up. So yeah, it's just a blurry mirror. And obviously it's going to be quite an expensive mirror as well, because it's got the blind spot warning system in it as well. And the seat, the actual material seems fine, but it's just that position again. It feels like it's sliding me forward, so it's, yeah, my gooch hairs are being pulled out slightly. But, you know, I've been on far less comfortable bikes. This is very good for a tourer, and this screen is still amazing. There we go, Tracer 9, long distance, sitting here like a pleb. Update. This will probably wind people up that I'm showing this, but I have to say, having your gears on your fingertips makes filtering a lot more relaxing. You're not having to kind of like hover a foot over a gear lever, slip a clutch and all that good stuff. It does make it much more straightforward. The only potential downside, I guess, is that you can't blip your throttle at people should you need to make them aware of your presence. You just have to reach for the horn. That's literally it. I know lots of people like blipping loud exhausts at cars while they're filtering and putting their hazards on. That's doing it wrong. But anyway, you can't do the throttle blipping thing on this. But the balance and everything for filtering is superb. Right, let's go for a slightly more twisty ride on the Tracer 9 GT Plus. Because although Yamaha, I think somewhere I read in the press pack, says this GT Plus model is 70% touring, 30% sport in terms of what you'll spend your time doing on it, it is a really good sports tourer. It's really engaging. A lot of that is down to the engine, which has just got loads of grunt, a lovely noise, and yes, all the MTO 9ness that you might have come to expect from the CP3 motor. It just makes a lovely noise. And as I've said, I think already, you end up going a bit faster than you might expect because you're using your fingers to change gears, so it's like a computer game. Generally speaking, the suspension on this bike, I would say, is set up on the firm side, so it is more sports than touring. I'm not sure how much of that is to do with the fact it is 230 kilos wet, ready to go, which is obviously reasonably portly, although you never really feel it. Yeah, I got a nod off a GS Adventure Rider. But I have made a custom mode specifically for this road, which is everything in its sportier setting, so the minimal amount of anti-wheelie without turning it off, same traction control, same slide control, most aggressive throttle map, but soft suspension, because this road is bumpier than my relationship with sugar. So yeah, we'll get to a 60 bit in a second, I'll open it up a bit, but I love how you can customize it to meet your needs as well, which is very handy. Yeah, turning, it is pretty fast steering, those wide bars, but it doesn't roll horribly from side to side with any unnatural toppling or anything like that. It just feels, it does feel light years better than the old Tracer 9, which is a bike I never really ever grew much confidence with. I couldn't really trust it when it was lent over. This one, this does feel stiffer. It feels like I've accidentally hit the downshift paddle really. Not ridden it for a few days. So yeah, this, when it's lent over, just feels like such a solid corner carving weapon that I do really think this is sportier than touring. And having done the big miles segment of this video, it was a pretty good tourer. But for me, this is a bike that puts a smile on your face when you get to the twisty roads of your destination. I love a bike like that can do both things. And with that massive screen, you can chonk out some serious miles on this, so long as you can put up with the slightly slidey forward seat. Not slidey forward, just angled forward seat. Now, someone wanted to know what it's like if you just pin it in first gear, so let's try that. Takes off a little bit sedately, and then the front wheel's hovering.
So yes, it has got some management of the engine power that you actually get when you just yank it open. It's not got a really savage launch on it, even in this sporty mode. Don't know if that's because I've still got the TC on. It's probably just the way it's mapped with the gearbox to not just dump all the power to the back wheel instantaneously, because that would probably cause some problems. There we go. So yeah, in short, I've really enjoyed riding this on kind of twisty country road rides in a way that I didn't enjoy the previous one quite so much. It's just more supportive, and I think you can actually feel the work they've done stiffening up different elements of the chassis, like the cross member, and around there's a cross member in the frame to make it stiffer when you're leant over, and the headstock as well. So yeah, the only real dynamic, it's not really a massive downside, is the front brake lever feels quite dead. And I don't know if that's because it's doing all sorts of trickery with linked brakes, the IMU and everything else, but it is quite a solid lever. It does the job, and the brakes do stop you really well, but it doesn't come back very much. Now, one quick word before we finish. The IMU, the inertial measurement unit, the 6-axis brain behind all the electronics, it is wired into every single bit of the electronics on this bike, so it does inform things like the gearbox, so it won't automatically change up massively when you're doing real severe cornering and things like that. It also feeds into the radar cruise control as well, try and keep the bike level when it's decelerating for you using radar cruise. It's wired into everything, and likewise the brakes, it's got that system where if you're doing some braking and it thinks you need to be doing more braking, it will add braking for you using the radar. When it detects a car getting a bit closer, a bit quicker than perhaps your brain can realise. So it's yeah, it's all very intelligent. Now, I'm not saying that it won't upshift mid-corner in auto mode. It will, but it's usually so smooth it doesn't really matter. It's just a bit weird for me that it never ever downshifts. It won't kick down for you, as far as I've managed to work out in nearly 400 miles of testing it. But hey, I've mostly lived in manual mode because it's more enjoyable. Anyway, that all sounds very complicated and conclusiony, so let's head back to me for an actual conclusion. If you couldn't tell from the giggling in that riding section, Yamaha's use of technology on this motorbike hasn't made it any less fun to ride than a cross-plane triple sports tourer should be. It's more confidence inspiring in the corners than the old Tracer 9 should be as well, which counts for an awful lot. Dynamically, very few flaws with it whatsoever. The downsides come down to the price, the looks, and your acceptance of technology on motorbikes. And if you're one of the new bikes have too much technology crowd, that's fair enough. You're gonna hate this because it's got a lot to go wrong on it. It's a Yamaha, it won't go wrong. But it is deeply impressive. It's not just a really good showcase of technology, it's all useful, but really well implemented as well. None of it gets on your nerves. None of it makes you think, oh, how do I turn that off? It's getting in my way of riding. That just doesn't happen. Yamaha has really nailed this bike. And if you want a companion for tours into Europe and things like that, I can't think of a better bike to do it on, because you haven't got any clutch fatigue. You're not thinking about that when you're filtering. Yet, when you get to twisty roads, you can have a proper riot on it, and actually flicking up at the top of the revs on your finger paddles is a really good motorbiking experience. Don't think, oh, I want to do my shifts myself. This is as fun. But anyway, I know I'm not going to convince all of you, but I've really enjoyed my time on this bike, slight buttock soreness aside. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you have liked it, please like, subscribe to the channel so I've got more bike reviews coming soon. Getting my Tenere back soon, hooray! And then I'm off to France on more off-road adventures on it with a mate on a cheap off-road bike. It's going to be great. Go down to the comments and leave me the Japanese words for, oh, it's too complicated for my little brain. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.